Hey, you are now locked in to Hard Reset with Jeuse Kastoan. Let's go. Hey. What the hell is up with my voice, bro? It must be because it's early in the morning. I'm still waking up. My voice is still coming. Mm. It's not there yet, but it's getting there, I guess. Um, this is Hard Reset. Today's episode is basically to let you know to achieve greatness, um it's gonna cost something. Not necessarily money, sometimes money, but it's definitely gonna cost. If you want to succeed, you're gonna have to sacrifice something. For me, I had to sacrifice time to succeed in things I wanted to do. Um, when I was in the doing retail at Best Buy, I was successful, but there was still a sacrifice, and that sacrifice, even though I tried to balance it, was basically, socializing. I spent less time socializing and more time working on my craft. And in turn, what happened was I got better at my craft and better at my job and performed better. Um, I didn't really think about while I was doing it. I was just like, well, I don't want to sit here talking all day and look like all I do is sit here and talk all day. So let me just, try to work and find a customer. That's basically my mindset. I didn't want to look like I was just wasting time just talking to people all day and getting paid to sit there and talk to my coworkers. So I spent the time to go and work. Um, in the Navy, I was successful. During that period, things I had to sacrifice. Um, what I wanted to achieve, I sacrificed time. Uh, a lot of my free time, a lot of my time away from work was at work. Whenever we would let go at 1600, I'd go to one of these volunteer organizations and I work in a volunteer organization and spend time there. So I spent a lot of time working. So I didn't have much, I had little time for myself. Um, I also had to sacrifice time with loved ones. I didn't speak to my family that often when I was in Japan. I just didn't. I was too entrenched in where I was at and trying to succeed. So all I did was work. Uh, it'd be like 8 o'clock at night. I go to the ship and try to do training on a petty officer to watch or messenger to watch or stuff like that. Like I'd sit there basically working the majority of my day until I went home and went to sleep and began to go to muster at 800. So it was time with my family. It was also time with my coworkers. I didn't spend much time with my coworkers. I didn't talk to my coworkers often, and that was mainly because the what I was on, they weren't on. They were not to speak negatively of them, because I don't have any ill will towards them. We just had different goals. They they had their job, and then when they got home, they didn't want to work. They wanted to chill, relax, go out, you know, go to the hunch, drink, have fun a little bit, party a little bit. And they were all younger too, so it makes sense. At that point I was like 29, 30. So, um, I had my partying days when I was in college when I was younger. I didn't really care to party that much, to be honest. So, um, I didn't spend much time with them. In my head, I was like, well, I'm trying to work, I'm trying to get this goal. I feel like if I go out with them, I might get into something or something might happen. There might be an altercation or an issue. Not to mention they're just going out and drinking and partying, and I don't really feel like partying, so I'm not going. Um, that's pretty much how I felt about it, and that's what I did. I just worked, and then I got to the point to where I was succeeding, and I was able to give myself a little more time to you know have I guess liberty time, I guess you could say. But really, it was only when it was like the weekend, or if we were out in port in a certain place, like Hong Kong, South Korea, stuff like that, that I would be able to go out in Liberty and just go out in the town and hang out. And even then, when I go out and hang out, it was basically to go out and drink. So, and sightsee. But in the military, you're heavily geared towards drinking for some reason. I guess that's just how people cope with being away from family and everything so long. It's just the military, they like to drink and do whatchamacallit, dip and drink. Yeah. So um that's what I did. Um and with that being said, no one else was really on the timing that I was on. So I didn't really meet any like-minded people. I didn't meet any like-minded people that was on the same stuff that I was on, that was working to, get promoted faster and make more money quickly. So it was either they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and they had a family and wife and kids, and they were hanging out with them and doing that on their off time, or they were younger and they didn't have any responsibilities, so they just wanted to go out and party and just drink and have fun. And I was in neither of those cups. So naturally, when I was working and doing everything I was doing, I was by myself because no one else was really trying to do what I was doing. So that was the sacrifice I made. I didn't have a family, so I didn't like get married and stuff like that. I was I wasn't a young 20 something anymore, so I wasn't trying to go out and drink anymore. So, I just worked. No, that's not to say that there weren't some nights where I did go out to the hunch and I did go out drinking, or I did hang out with some people I work with when drinking. That happens sometimes, but it wasn't a consistent regular thing. It was something I did every once in a while. So, um that was a sacrifice I made. And then, once I got out the Navy, um, I guess you could say what the sacrifices I made was I won't say time, because at the time when I was working in manufacturing and coaching basketball, I was still spending time with my future wife at that point. So I didn't sacrifice time. I think more so I probably sacrificed energy, because I was basically working full time overnight, and then I go coaching in the afternoon, and then I spend time with my wife on my off days on the weekend, if I didn't work on the weekend or whatever. Like my off days, I'll spend time with my wife. So my schedule was packed. There wasn't a lot of time for myself. But at that point in time, I didn't really want time for myself. I was pretty content and pretty happy. So I like what I was doing. I was coaching basketball. That was fun. It was good to see the girls, get better and, progress. And then I was working overnight and got promoted to senior machine operator. So that was good. I was spending time with my soon-to-be wife. We loved each other pretty early, but we were still going through the um process of getting to know each other and everything. So we're spending a lot of time together. So um the only sacrifice I really made was just my me time, but I didn't really need me time. I'm not really a person who needs a lot of me time. Honestly, the if you think about it now, the me time I have is usually like in the morning when I wake up before everybody. I wake up like at 6:30 in the morning. Not on purpose. It's just my body wakes up, and then I get my day started. So um me time isn't really a thing that I need at this point, and back then it wasn't really a thing I needed at that point. Um in regards to where I am now, so I work full time. I go to school full time. I have a son. I have a wife. And I'm still trying to achieve these great things. Um, Sacrifices I make now is more so like, I might miss something here or there. I might forget to wash the dishes, or I might lose time in a day and not do this thing around the house because I've got to do my homework and I got to go to work 8 hours. And by the time I get home, I want to spend time with my wife and my son. So then I end up, losing track of time and not getting to a chore or something like that. So right now, the sacrifice I would say is, to slip into chores. Chores are very important to keep the house in order. You got to stay on top of it. And, you know, for me, I believe that probably be the one sacrifice that I'm making that, I still need to get better at. I need to still work on, even though I'm doing these things, I still need to help around the house and try to, help out. Um, that'd be the main thing. But uh I digress. The most important thing to know is, when you're trying to achieve something great, more than likely you're gonna have to sacrifice things, and what you'll more than likely have to sacrifice is time. That time that you would spend hanging out with your friends and hanging out with your loved ones is the time that you probably will need to be spending working on your craft and working on whatever your job is so you can get better at it. So you can have it as a career and succeed. You can't be afraid to make that sacrifice. You gotta do whatever you gotta do so you can succeed, and then once you get to where you want to go, then try to balance it out and spend more time with your family and stuff like that. Be more intentional about it. Um, but for me, that's how I personally feel. I feel that is, for me, what the main sacrifice was throughout my journey is it's always been time. Uh, my time for other things has always been a sacrifice. I've gotten better as I've gotten older to not sacrifice my time as much and get my rest and spend time with the people that I love. I've gotten better at it and managed it a lot better. But I can definitely say it's been a common theme in my life that I've had to learn how to manage my time better and give my body time to rest and time to sleep. Um, Other than that, that is the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. These are my thoughts, and I hope you have a good day.
This was Hard Reset. Hopefully you got some. Leave a comment, answer the polls. Go ahead and contact me at Jeuse Kastoan on Instagram, Twitter, everything to go and holler at your boy.
Mad thoughts just going through my head. Expectations have been met.